Okay, so let's dive in. Is flirting while you're in a relationship, is it actually okay? It's a question, that comes up a lot for people in committed partnerships. It feels almost universal sometimes.
It really does.
On one side, yeah, it can seem like just harmless fun, right? A little bit of an ego boost.
Sure.
But then for other people, there's that feeling that even a hint of it feels like a betrayal.
Yeah, it's definitely not simple, not black and white at all.
Exactly. And that's what we really want to unpack for you in this deep dive.
That's right. It touches on some really fundamental aspects of relationships, doesn't it? What makes them work, what causes friction.
Right.
So our aim here isn't just a simple yes or no. It's more about exploring the layers, the intention behind it, where the boundaries are or should be.
And how you and your partner can get on the same page about it.
Precisely. And we're drawing on some interesting insights from an article that really delves into these gray areas, the psychology behind it all.
Okay, great. So to kick things off, maybe we should nail down what we're even talking about. When we say flirting, what does that usually cover?
Good starting point. Generally, the definition points to behavior that's playful, or it suggests some kind of romantic interest or attraction.
Yeah, okay.
And the research shows it can manifest in lots of ways. Compliments, for instance.
Yeah.
Or specific body language, maybe some light teasing, or just that kind of fun, easy back and forth banter.
Right. The sort of interaction you might have, I don't know, with someone you just met, or maybe a friendly coworker. Nothing too heavy.
Usually, yeah. But here's where it gets, interesting and potentially quite tricky. Where exactly is that line, that sometimes almost invisible line between innocent fun and something that could actually start undermining the emotional connection in your main relationship?
That really is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And a key factor the research really emphasizes is motivation. Why is the person doing it?
The why.
Exactly. People flirt for all sorts of reasons. It could be for attention, seeking that external validation, maybe.
A little self-esteem boost?
Could be. Or sometimes it's just a habit, something they've always done. Or, even boredom a way to liven up a dull moment.
Right.
Understanding that why behind it can be a really big clue as to whether it's becoming problematic for the primary relationship.
That makes total sense. I mean, if someone's constantly looking for validation outside the relationship because they're not feeling it inside, well, that definitely throws up a bit of a red flag, doesn't it?
It certainly can.
Now, this article we looked at, it also breaks down flirting into different types or categories, which I found actually super helpful for clarity. Can you walk us through those?
Absolutely. Yeah, psychologists have identified several sort of distinct styles. First off, there's what they call playful flirting.
Oh.
Think of this as just having fun, like messing around, joking, with really no romantic goal behind it.
Just for laughs.
Exactly. Then there's polite flirting. This is often just seen as, good social skills, being friendly, respectful, engaging.
Okay, so those first two sound like the kind of everyday interactions that probably don't ruffle too many feathers in most cases.
Often, yes. But then we move into sincere flirting.
Right.
And this is where the intent really shifts. It's about actually expressing genuine romantic interest in someone else.
Okay, definitely different.
Then after that, there's traditional flirting, which is often based more on, sometimes outdated gender norms, expectations about who should initiate.
Interesting category.
And finally, there's physical flirting. This involves actual touch or behavior that's more overtly sensual.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear how sincere and especially physical flirting could become a problem fast if you're supposed to be committed to someone else.
Absolutely.
But what about this first two, again, playful and polite? The article suggested they can be harmless, particularly if both partners agree on what's okay. That if feels like the key word there.
It's absolutely critical, yeah. And this leads us straight into that whole crucial area of emotional boundaries.
Okay.
The research talks about this concept of emotional infidelity. And it's really vital to get that significant hurt can happen even without any physical contact.
Right. It's not just about the physical stuff.
Not at all. If you find yourself, say, consistently turning to someone outside your relationship for that deep emotional connection or for validation you should really be getting or at least seeking with your partner, that can be incredibly damaging. It really erodes trust from the inside.
It's like you're diverting that important emotional energy, that intimacy, away from your primary relationship.
Precisely.
And the article had a really straightforward way to think about this, a kind of gut check.
Ah, yes, the rule of thumb.
Yeah. If you feel like you'd need to hide what you did or said from your partner, or if you just feel that little pang of guilt afterwards, chances are it's not as innocent as you might want to believe.
That feels like a pretty solid guidepost. It really boils down to transparency and trust, doesn't it? Which are, the bedrock of any strong relationship.
Totally.
And this brings us right back to the importance of intent.
Right. The why again.
Exactly. The research is clear. If you're flirting with the specific goal of pursuing something romantic or sexual outside your relationship, well, that's unequivocally wrong.
No gray area there.
Pretty much. However, it also acknowledges the complexity that for some people, a certain amount of, let's say, lighthearted interaction, it might just be part of their personality. Natural charisma, maybe, without any hidden motive.
So it becomes less about the specific action itself, like a compliment or a joke, and more about the underlying reason why you're doing it, and crucially, how that behavior affects the feeling of trust within the relationship.
That's the core of it.
The article even poses some really good self-reflection questions for you, the listener. Like,
Why?
Are you looking for something outside that you feel you're not getting from your partner?
Good question.
Or are you actively trying to make someone else find you attractive?
Yeah.
And maybe the biggest one, are you crossing a line that, deep down, your partner wouldn't actually be okay with?
Oof. Answering those, honestly, could be, a real eye-opener for some people.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly. And, looking at what the experts say, the article brings in some valuable perspectives here. Dr. Helen Fisher, for instance, she suggests flirting can actually be healthy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, but provided there's a really solid foundation of security and mutual trust in the relationship already.
Ah, the context matters.
Hugely. Because she also warns that it can become really destructive if there are underlying issues bubbling away, jealousy, insecurity, maybe dishonesty. It really depends on the overall health of the partnership.
That makes sense. And there was another view, Dr. Ramani Durvasula.
Yes. She offers another important angle. She highlights that even what seems like pretty minor flirtation can slowly kind of chip away at emotional intimacy. Well, if one partner starts to feel like they're consistently playing second fiddle, the attention their partner gives to others, even if it seems fleeting, makes them feel less important.
Ah, that feeling of not being the priority.
Exactly. That feeling can be incredibly corrosive to the bond over time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely. And it's also just so important to remember that the rules around flirting aren't universal. They really aren't.
How do you mean?
Well, cultural norms, social norms, they vary massively. What's considered totally normal, everyday friendly interaction in one culture, or even just within a specific group of friends,
could be seen as completely out of line somewhere else.
Precisely. Think about different workplaces, even different family dynamics or social circles. The expectations can be worlds apart.
That's so true. And then on top of all that, the article brings in the whole layer of complexity added by social media.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one now.
Liking posts, the way emojis are used, those private messages, the DMs, they can seem so casual.
Deceptively casual sometimes.
Right. But as the research points out, that can be a real breeding ground for emotional dishonesty, especially, and this seems key, if it's happening secretly.
That element of secrecy is almost always a massive red flag.
Yeah.
And that's really why proactively sitting down and establishing clear, healthy boundaries within your relationship is just so vital.
So talking about it openly.
Yes. The article gives some really practical tips for couples here.
Like what?
Like actually having that conversation, sitting down together, defining what each of you considers okay, and what feels like it crosses a line when interacting with other people.
That honest two-way street of communication seems like that's the absolute foundation for navigating this.
It really is. And it's also about creating a safe space, somewhere you can both talk openly about any feelings of jealousy or insecurity that might pop up without judgment.
Because just ignoring those feelings doesn't make them go away.
Never does. And, as the article suggests, really prioritizing transparency helps too. If you're ever unsure about an interaction, maybe just bringing it up with your partner proactively can build so much trust.
And checking in with yourself, too, being really honest about your own motivations before engaging in anything that could be seen as flirty.
Yeah, asking yourself that simple question, why am I actually doing this? It can be incredibly revealing.
And then ultimately respecting the boundaries that you've both agreed on.
Exactly. And the research also points out that sometimes persistent flirting, like if it's happening a lot, it can actually be a symptom.
A symptom of what?
Of deeper issues, unmet needs within the relationship, perhaps. If the behavior feels compulsive, or if there's that constant need for secrecy around it.
Or if the flirting is regularly filling emotional gaps that aren't being addressed at home.
Right. Those are pretty significant warning signs. It could suggest, underlying dissatisfaction, maybe poor communication patterns, or just those unmet emotional needs within the partnership itself.
And in situations like that?
Well, the article rightly suggests considering professional help. Counseling can be a really valuable resource to get to the bottom of those root issues and start the process of rebuilding trust, if that's what both partners want.
Right. Okay.
So, coming full circle back to that first question, is flirting okay when you're in a relationship?
It really isn't a simple yes or no, is it?
Not at all. As we've kind of unpacked, it genuinely hinges on the specific relationship, the people involved, their history, their agreements, all the nuances we've talked about.
But the common threads, the things that seem essential regardless, are things like honesty.
Yes.
Mutual respect.
Crucial.
And that ongoing open conversation between partners.
Exactly. At the end of the day, what really matters most is that both people feel secure, respected, and truly valued within their relationship. Yeah. And if flirting, no matter how innocent it might seem on the surface, if it starts to undermine that fundamental sense of safety and value for either person,
then it's stopped being just harmless fun.
Absolutely. It's crossed a line.
Which kind of leaves you, the listener, with this final thought to mull over. At what point does something that seems like just lighthearted fun, when does it actually start to chip away at that core foundation? That trust and understanding that, love really needs to thrive.
It's a continuous conversation, isn't it?
It really is, and one that's just so essential for every couple to keep having.